You are watching Tech Confessions, created by Amy Lewis and brought to you by VMware.
Craig, thanks for joining me today.
Thanks.
We're here today to talk about your software-defined moment, that aha moment that you went from a physical infrastructure point of view to thinking about software first.
Okay, there's been a few of those. The first one I can think about particularly is, there was a point in time in my career that I sort of went from just simply being an engineer to really understanding what consulting was all about. And it happened, a particular job, I had a rough time, kind of started out in my consultative career and consulting career. And there was a particular job that, as salesmen often do, they just sell stuff, right? And they kind of sell you into a hole, and you have to somehow dig your way out of it, with the client, and somehow, make it through. And there was a particular job that it went terrible, and I managed to make the client happy and get out of it. And yeah, so ultimately it was just that aha moment and understanding, okay, what does it truly take to consult? And I think that was definitely a pivotal moment in understanding that I need to take a more of a leadership role. And I think that's what a lot of, especially junior engineers, maybe take away from this is that, hey, it's not just about going in and, smacking the keyboard and turning screws and that kind of thing. It's more about, okay, how do I take, a customer and walk them through the entire process? And, I've even often said, really consulting, it's 25% technology. The other 50% is interacting with the client.
Sure.
And trying to understand, where they're at with their needs and then moving forward.
And as a consultant, you probably have witnessed many little aha moments with your customers as well.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, definitely. Different aha moments where, this is early on in VMware and virtualization days, but, the idea of, hey, listen, I can, take a physical server, and instead of just simply install a single operating system on it, now I can, house 5 virtual machines or 10 virtual machines, which was common in the beginnings. Now we can do, 50 or 100 very easily. So, they were able to realize, hey, you've actually helped me in my, IT department, sort of help the company from a cost perspective, right? I don't have to buy, 5 or 10 or 20 servers anymore. I can do this with one. So sort of, as far as software defined, now we're beginning to define, hardware with software to be able to accomplish more of a business goal.
Sure. And obviously it also allows IT to move at the same speed as business, which is always exciting stuff.
Yeah, you look at different companies and sort of how they acquire hardware. It's a lot of times procurement processes aren't very easy. So, now a company can say, hey, I need to install this one application, and it's going to take me either 6 weeks to go buy a physical server, but with virtualization, hey, now I can do it very, very quickly. And especially you look at things of today, and now we've got multiple cloud environments. We can connect on premise to a service provider or even AWS or Azure, and or even look at VMC on AWS, and now we can even acquire hardware within minutes or hours. So you talk about software defined. That we're pretty much defining end to end with software and being able to be agile.
Looking at the network as well, of course, we're seeing this big trend of SDN.
Yes.
So have you had experience with that?
Yeah, so you look at especially NSX and the technologies that are contained in it. And yeah, now together with NSX and other products like VRA, we can now dynamically create networks, on the fly without having to dig down into, physical switches and, type in commands. There we can sort of define those, even just simply using, different tags through vSphere. And then when, once those things are created now, our applications can now much more easily and much more securely communicate, through through the network. And I don't have to necessarily bug the engineering or the networking team all that much. I can just simply, create the network, put in the security parameters that I'm looking for, the security posture of it, it's easy. It's easy now.
Mm-hmm.
I don't have to go and be some Cisco engineer anymore. I can just simply define it within the vSphere interface.
Looking forward, are there any trends that you're excited about that you'd like to share?
Yeah, just seeing the progression of technology. I'm a little older, so I come back from the physical server days.
Mm-hmm.
So you watch how technology has progressed from sort of the physical server separated. You got different PCs, and you're having to mess with. You can't define things with software. You have to define things with hardware.
Mm-hmm.
Then you progress into the early days of virtualization, where we can now, consolidate a number of servers into one physical server. Now we're able to see, instead of that approach, now we can take, entire data centers and even, sort of house those inside of virtual data centers, and even take those virtual data centers and be able to burst dynamically into different cloud environments. So it's pretty, it's the next foray is into even like serverless computing. That whole concept,
Mm-hmm.
and what that is. It's going to be interesting to see what even the next form of an application might look like. So applications traditionally are sort of very regimented. They're hard to scale. They're hard to automate, and it's very difficult working with some of the traditional apps. Looking at the next generation of applications, Netflix is kind of a prime example of that. The application entirely is built on top of AWS infrastructure, leveraging all different types of microservices and stuff that they provide. And, seeing applications kind of move into that direction, it's pretty exciting.
It is exciting.
Yeah.
Well, thank you so much for joining me, Craig.
Yep. Thank you.
When you are ready to make your tech confession, join us at techconfessionstheshow.com.